Okay, welcome. So we're in week 3 of 4 weeks of your calling, a purposeful plan, a marketing design, and then following through on that marketing design to kind of launch the combining of the plan and design programs. We used to do them very separately, and now we're doing them together because everyone who's in here right now is much more familiar with this than somebody who's never been in here before. We might do this a little differently. We might go a lot deeper than I would have if people had popped in the first few weeks that hadn't been through the program. So let's see where we go with this. Share screen and get us started with some slides. Oops, sorry. So we're essentially walking through a 4-week challenge, free, called to serve. The program won't be free, and everyone who's in here is in the program already. So let's see how this fleshes out for all of us. You know who I am, Karen. Coach Karen, president of NACWE and president of Lindwall-Bourg companies. One of the NACWE members who's been with us for 7 or 8 years or so calls me Dr. President. I think that's really funny. Author and publisher, biblical counselor, mom of 6, almost Nana of 11. It's really not legal for me to put it in there, but Sabrina's due on May 23rd. So prayers appreciated for Sabrina and Matthew and baby number 3. We're in week 3 of designing. I'm going to scoot us a little bit forward. We've combined the PDF program because we realized, and Courtney, you were a huge help with this, and Angela, you were a huge help with this. We realized that we would make a plan, and it would be a fantastic plan, but because we hadn't really focused on our why and our calling and what God had actually called us to do in the first place, our plan went somewhat awry and we were redoing. Or we would come up with this beautiful plan and design a marketing strategy around it, but there was something missing in the plan, and the design of the marketing strategy kind of went awry, and we had to back up. And so I thought maybe if we put all of these, it was requested by some that if we put these together, they would flow much more smoothly and we wouldn't be redoing and taking how many steps backwards before we take steps forward. So now the program is, you will notice that I changed the name of the group and everything. I hope that didn't confuse, but you're already in there. Take advantage of it. Don't miss it. We'll start on May 11th. We'll sort of wrap this up if we need to, with a work session to help us through a plan and a design and a follow-through emphasis together next week if we need it. But it'll end up to be a work session where you can show people things and ask questions, and everybody can have 10 minutes or whatever, and we'll really refine things before we jump into the program. The program starts and ends with prayer and celebration. We'll plan first using the Purposeful Planning book. We'll design using a marketing plan using the Get Clients Now program. We'll add a little bit to it, and then we'll spend another month following through on, maybe that means going back and tweaking the plan, or maybe it means going back and finishing something that didn't get finished in that 28-day marketing plan. We'll spend more time following through. We all needed it. We all asked for it. And to plow forward would have been detrimental. So we're going to spend a quarter, 3 months, planning, designing, and following through. Y'all don't need this, but this is the last day that this works. I finally got new buttons. So you don't need this. But this is the get in button for today, and after today it won't work anymore. It might help if I enlarge this a little bit. We're almost at 1,000 people in the free group. I'm going to watch it today, and I'm going to offer the 1,000th person a special deal. So if you have a friend who you think might want to get in, tell them to watch it and pop it in at the last minute there. We essentially talked about, are you wondering what to do now? And that God hasn't recalled the calling he originally gave you. And let's plow forward and rediscover that calling and work forward with intention. And I might need to make somebody I'll make Kathy an admin. Hey, Kathy.
Hey.
I'm going to make you a co-host, so in case anything happens. Oops.
Okay.
We've been doing that lately because could get kicked off or whatever. Then we talked about mapping out a fresh plan last week. And then this week we're going to talk about a 28-day marketing design. There's no way we can do it in an hour and a half when it takes us a week to put the thing together and hours in the other group, but we'll at least get you started and maybe answer a few questions and also maybe help you hone in on where to start. The thing you want to do is start somewhere way beyond where you needed to start or way before where you needed to start. And we'll talk about following through. We're talking about design today. So let me pray us in and we're going to talk about C.J. Hayden. Father God, I am thrilled about combining these programs. It wasn't my idea, so I'm grateful that the idea was planted. And we're just praying for the way that it all fleshes out starting May 11th. We're excited to do it. We kind of should have done it probably a quarter ago. We were all ready for it and we've had to do it on our own. I'm just grateful for this group of people who are already in that group, Lord, and what they bring to the table, because it's a lot. And grateful that you have a special calling on the lives of each one of us and anyone who might be listening to this recording later as well. Help us to not forget that even though things are surreal and uncertain and topsy-turvy right now, and these are serious, serious times, you still have a calling on our lives to serve, and the talents and the gifts that you've given us and the strengths that you've given us are the same, and we need to follow through on that and not, I feel like I sometimes am considering shirking my responsibility to serve you, Lord, the way that you call me to, and we don't want to do that. Help us to work through, especially in this really intimate group, the beginnings of a marketing plan and maybe a jump start for May with new programs and things like that in ways that please you, in ways you already know the people that need what we have to offer. And so I'm just praying, Lord, that we are true to what you've called us to do, and we'll let you bring those people to us. And we ask these things in Jesus Christ's holy name. Amen. So if you don't have the 3rd edition of Get Clients Now, you'll want to get that. I don't know how many times we've been through it. Some of us in the room have been through it already, but every time I read through it again, there's a new nugget that I maybe didn't focus on the last time. And so what you'll see following and in that design portion of our program is straight from, with a few things added here and there, but for the most part, we use her charts, we use her worksheet, we use her pattern of figuring out how to get started and where we're headed. And we've loved it, so we wouldn't veer from it. But I'm going to say from me to you that the first secret to marketing is really to remind yourself and care about your God-given calling and to care about your fellow man and what God has called you to do and how that serves his people, how it serves him and how it serves his people. In so many scriptures, Matthew 22:37 and more, it tells you to serve God first, and then to love your fellow man as you love yourself. So I've used the acrostic before. When I was young, somebody handed that one to me. Jesus, others, joy, Jesus, others, and yourself. So put him first. Your service needs to be, before you can really market what you do, you've got to have your plan, your offer, your service, your program, your product. And it has to come from a place of caring, from your heart, from the passions God has already implanted in you, wanting to help other people. So I would suppose, I could say safely that your why is the total definition of this slide right here. So come in and share without telling me what you do, put you on the spot here a little bit. Come in and tell me why you do what you do. If you need a minute to think about it, come in and tell me why you do what you do without telling me exactly what you do.
I'm supposed to write it or just tell you?
Either one or both. I mean, if you write it in the chat room, I'll read it, but there's a small group here. We might as well really buckle down and share it.
I do what I do for the sake of freedom for women.
I couldn't hear it. Say it again. What'd you
I
say?
said I do what I do for the sake of freedom for women.
Mm-hmm.
Personal freedom, inner healing freedom, freedom from pain, or at least learning how to live free. You won't always be free.
And I would say I do what I do because there's nothing more thrilling than seeing a fellow Christian woman grow, and I selfishly grow right along with them. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I do it for me as much as I sometimes do it for you. I hope I do it for the Lord first and for you second, and then for myself third. But really, that's when I'm lit up, and that's when I'm turned on, is when people are growing to new levels and celebrating what they've accomplished. So I realized that wasn't all written down like a pristine, mission statement on your website and that sort of thing. That's okay. Come in and just share your heart.
I would say.
Oh, let me mute me. We're in the same room. That's fine, baby.
Okay, ready? Okay, that was our little rave for the second. DJ Karen. Mine would be, I just love seeing people happy at work, thriving in that place. In that place, when you walk in, you feel all the good stuff and you don't feel anything crunchy. So that's why I do what I do for now. I don't know what I'll do. I'm in the middle of figuring that out right now. So.
I do what I do to help others learn how to be self-taught and how to learn on their own.
I do what I do because I have received some of the greatest joys in my life when I have realized what I was created for. And I believe everyone is created for a special purpose, and they've already been gifted to do it. And I just enjoy so much seeing people discover that and deploy their gifts.
Hey, Kara. We'll give you a minute to smudge in here. Good to see you. So again, your God-given calling has not changed. It has not been recalled, even or especially during these uncertain times. And I think for any of us who thought, oh my goodness, this is so surreal, what do I do now? Getting back to what did God call me to do in the first place will bring us back home where we need to be. The second secret to marketing, I think, is to dream bigger. I mean, you guys have been very instrumental in my life to help me to think out of the box and dream bigger and more abundantly. I think when we make a purposeful plan, it needs to stretch a little further than maybe is even realistic. I mean, of course, we want our plan to be realistic or we'll never implement it in the first place. But I think it does need to stretch us and take us to a different level. I think we need to enjoy the planning process. I'm very excited about this book coming out and using it in this group because I think it's fun and quirky and has its little thank you. Courtney helped me with this. So the book is dedicated to her. I think we have to plan with beginning with inviting God into every teeny little aspect of it, every day, every moment, every time we sit down, every time we get ready to tweak it, take it to the next level. That's what the group is going to be all about, and I hope it's a lot of fun. Third, I think secret to marketing is that you have to promote. You've heard me say, if you've been with me more than a couple of minutes, that no one else is going to shout from the rooftops what you do. It's totally your responsibility to do that. And yes, we do promote one another. I've promoted probably everybody in this room in one way or another. But you've got to be the ones on the rooftop shouting it out. Go tell it on the mountain. There's an article in the Get Clients Now book by Debbie Allen, and this is what she says. You cannot be truly successful if you aren't willing to let people know that you, your product, and your services exist. If you aren't willing to promote your talents, expertise, and products, others will quickly pass you by. The world is not going to beat a path to your door unless you pave the way. Resenting, she used the word resenting. Resenting self-promotion is one of the greatest obstacles to success. So let's take a moment before we go too far and back up. What I want to know is, what is your next big plan? We're going to start kind of off kilter. We would have normally done this April, May, and June, and I just wasn't ready. And so we delayed it. We'll do a May, June, probably a short version, May and June, or we might just smudge the quarters to May, June, and July. What's your next big plan? Give us a little intro to it. Y'all are like, why didn't she send us these questions ahead of time? So, I mean, I'll tell you one of mine, duh, right? A year and a half ago, Courtney, you were part of this as well. Kathy's a part of it now. The NACWE team came up with a plan to walk through wellness for the first 8 months of the year, and it's so badly needed in these uncertain times. And it took me a while. Those of you who've worked with me know I'm kind of in a slow class. It took me a while to go, I mean, look at what he did so far ahead of time. And then it took me a while to go, duh, Courtney wrote a chapter in this book too. The wellness book has been out there since 2016. Why are we not pulling that, things you already have in your hands, pulling that forward and doing really creative things with it? So we've started to do that a little bit. We're getting ready to do that. My next plan, as we work together in the group, you'll see me fleshing that out. What does that look like? Does it mean blogging through each chapter in the book? Does it mean offering a 7-day challenge? Because BELIEFS is 7 letters, acrostic letters. What does that really mean, and how can we get it out there? One thing we've already done that Kathy's done for me is take the assessment out of the back of the book and pull it out. And we're going to dress it up and clean it up a little bit and add a few snippets to each of the 7 assessments. Each of the 7 letters has an assessment, and they each have 7 questions. Easy to answer, but really to spur you on to be well in all of these areas. So we've already started doing some really creative things with that. I would like to devise a whole plan around that and just see, because the Lord will reveal things I hadn't even thought of as I really give it to him and flesh it out. So what are you, maybe, I have like 3 other things, but let's stick with one. What's one thing you'd really like to plan out over this next quarter? I'm going to talk. Hold on, text me.
I'll go.
Last week when we did these 31, what did I call them? Power, whatever. I don't know. It was super fast.
Yeah.
To write them down. Speed round. I called it a speed round. I wrote down kind of the next big things I wanted to work on were a workshop and a cohort of people to go through. And so, so a cohort could be a mastermind group, you know what I mean? But I don't know. So those are the next big things. I don't know what it looks like, but I wrote that down in the speed round, and I think that's what I want to focus on, because I think that's where I get more energy and have more fun.
And what's the primary objective?
It would be on leadership and leading a culture, shifting an organization or a team or a company or.
Which goes along with the book?
Yeah. Okay.
It's what we get for setting up in the same room.
I'm sorry.
We were so hungry for a human being in our lives that we have not left the table. We've been working right across from one another.
I know me.
Yeah, it's
it's really strange. Sorry to bother me. I am gonna focus on some team building in this next quarter, I think, and writing, always writing.
Mm-hmm.
My main focus is going to be on a 7-week Wee Wednesday Facebook Lives where I'm going to talk about why it is so exciting and vital to understand what your gifts are, what your talents are, and encourage people to look at their inventory and take the inventory of what their talents are and begin to ask questions about what they need next. And in doing that, I hope to build my prospect email list and my crew.
Building the list, that needs to be on everybody's list. Kathy, do you want to pop in?
Yes, I'm looking at out of the box things that I can do through Facebook, through simple groups that I already belong to see if I can offer educational planning for them. So, and doing some other art groups too, art facilitation.
So I don't know if it'll work out, but can I tell them about our idea from this morning? Yeah, so she was talking about, she's been doing a doodle class for adult women. She's been doing, that's once a week. She's been doing a kids art class. And one of my granddaughter's 6 years old and she sits there for the whole time, hour and a half. I mean, she's plugged in, she's getting things done. I realize not every kid has that sort of temperament, but we started talking about it this morning and
She does amazing.
She's doing a great job. And she's like, Aunt Kathy, can you pause that? Can you replay that? Can you show me that again? Can you? And she's totally not intimidated by the process at all. And there are other kids and they're talking to one another really sweet. So we realized that Daniel Stein, who works in our office, has Special Strong. He started out as a physical fitness trainer. And the quick version is he evolved into doing physical fitness training for special needs clients. And the next thing he knew, he felt like the Lord was calling, he hired people, he trained people, felt like the Lord was calling him to start a nonprofit group so that people who had children with special needs, even adult children with special needs, would have a place to go and talk. That's been really interesting. And now the Lord has led him to, Kathy, you might have to let people in for me. Now the Lord has led him to, just went totally blank. Oh, to start a franchise and to train other people how to do the same thing in his city. Well, one of the things he said is some of my clients, one of the things they love about physical fitness training, besides, I mean, he has a young kid who wasn't walking and now the guy is walking. Besides that, they like being with another adult, doing the fitness training, and their parents aren't there. They need a break from one another, right? Mutually. And so some of them said, yes, I think doing in these uncertain times, doing physical fitness training online would be a really amazing thing, but I'm not coming because my parents are right there. You know, and that was my only time to kind of be alone and be without my parents. So he was trying to create private rooms and, all of these things. And I said to Kathy, oh my goodness. So many of these are hungry for another face and for something to do and something that's creative and something as physical fitness training does. It takes you to a new place, and so does artwork. And so we're connecting the two of them to see if maybe she can offer services for his clients. I think that's so the Lord, right? It may or may not work out, but still the idea just came to us and we were thinking, this is an amazing opportunity. Let's see what happens with it. So did everybody get to share their plan? We lost Carol. We'll see if she got back in. Jessica, how are you? If you want to jump in. Uh-oh. The question is, what do you want to plan? If you were to plan something out these next few months, what would that plan look like? You're welcome to jump in before we move on quickly or not. It's up to you since you just popped in. If y'all would type what you're planning on in the chat room, it would give me an opportunity, since I say the chat room like a crazy person, to pray you through as well. I would love that. I would appreciate that. Then what I want to know, we already talked about this, that you've got to promote you. Most people aren't going to do it for you. If you build it, they will come. I'm sorry, it just never has worked for any of us. Why are we even sitting back on our haunches waiting for it to happen? I'm not sure, because I don't want to fill in the blank there because I'm crazy. What are the last 3 things? So I'm going to give you time to think about this. Write it in the chat room, write it on a scrap piece of paper or whatever. What are the last 3 things that someone did for you, especially during these really uncertain times, that made you, that you thought, I wouldn't have said yes before, but I'm getting ready to say yes. What are the last 3 things someone did to self-promote, to encourage you to say yes? What would that be? I'm going to give us a minute to think about that. You can type it in the chat room, or you can come in and talk to us about it.
I've seen a lot of repetitive advertising. That's one of the things I've seen.
And that was a good thing?
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but it has made me say yes. And then the other thing is some videos. I've seen some videos that I have made me say yes. Just kind of what's the word? Candid kind of stuff. So.
Well, I think just the art classes that I was doing by myself, I was like, why can't I lead a group of people to do this? You know? And there's so much out there that you kind of do have to pick and choose. But, you know, you see their little pop-up that says, this is what we're doing today, or, you know, whatever. And then and acting on it by clicking and joining the little art class or whatever. And then translating that into something that others would enjoy too. They just don't, like, people don't want their kids just out on the internet, right? So this way, I know these places are safe where we're the videos that we're using. So like, I think clicking on that video made a huge difference in me, to learn how to draw something new and different. It broadened me.
Like the little poofy bird. That's my favorite. Anybody else? What were the last 3 things? And then we're going to ask, what are 3 new things you think you might be being led to do to promote what you're getting ready to plan and design a marketing run around? You going to come in?
Yeah.
Let me unmute me, or mute me. Hold on.
Okay. So I will say, marketing victim, me, hello. First was Diane's Nourish, 21-day Nourish. So it wasn't long enough, right? It was 21, I can do 21 days. And it was $47. So I thought the price point was enough, you know, to like pay for the $21 of and the connection. I know it'll probably lead to more, but that's okay. It was like to give me a taste. And then also the other one that worked was this 4-week, 4 Mondays, 4 sessions, free, to kind of get my wheels turning. And then you had an offer for $149 for the mastermind, which is great because it's going to go up like 3 times or something, right? So I think that was a good way to get introduction people in, to let them have a taste and not expect the whole world, you know, but like get a taste. So those 3 worked. I will say I did a Michael Hyatt thing and it made me madder than a bee's nest, because it was supposed to be an hour workshop, free workshop, leading in time of crisis, and 21 minutes into it, oh, here it comes. But my new program will allow you to, and I'm like, at least give us like 45 minutes of free content before you start hustling. And the whole rest of it was hustle, and it made me mad. And they kept saying, please don't leave the room, please don't leave the room, please don't, you know, and everyone was jumping off because, so I was like, for me, it was a lesson of you can promote yourself, but you can promote yourself well by adding great value, adding great content for free up front so people respect you and trust you. And then I'm like, I'll tell 10 people to join these things, you know, if it's good. So that was for me, as I think about my workshop and my cohort, you know, think about how long can I do it? Can I stick it out for 3 weeks or a month? Can I stick it out, you know? So, okay.
She's like, that's my 2 cents and I'm sticking with it. Anybody else? So I had thought, you know, there have been people that have reached out. Now, they did reach out to pray specifically for us and to offer us new things. And Jessica Hammock, you will appreciate this. I feel like the Fellowship of the Sword group has reached out in a new and different way. And they've offered trainings that you really only get if you go to their retreats. But now you can get pieces of it, and it's been very exciting. But I also will say they've reached out to me and said, how can the FTS people pray for you? And I thought, at first I thought, because I call it Quest, because the retreat is called Quest. So I thought, who are you? I don't know what an FTS is. So I felt like a fool because I've actually worked for them even and said, you know, is FTS this other company or is it Fellowship of the Sword? And God said it's Fellowship of the Sword. But I appreciate that because I feel like they literally are, if I give them a prayer request, they're literally taking it to the Lord that day if I give it to them. And then another, I like you said, Lou, I appreciate the Nourish opportunity to self-care. I needed something that was focused on self-care, and while I can't show up 21 days in a row or won't, I still, every snippet that I get has, you know, kind of enhanced, I think, my physical and mental health right now. It helps when you have a chef in the kitchen, like cooking healthy meals too. And when I don't already do toast, that makes a huge difference. And another thing is, if anybody popping in, I don't want to talk over you. And another thing that's happening is Angela's part of this, and I think Tim Smith is part of this. We're getting ready to reach out to every NACWE member, members only. We actually have. We took a poll and said, what do you have related to wellness that's digital? What we want to do, that we haven't told them what we want to do yet. And what do you have that's related to wellness that's tangible? Because what we want to do is put together a package of 7 digital offerings on wellness and offer it to people. And of course, it promotes the 7 of us as well, but it enhances their wellness right now as well. And then we wanted to try, we're not sure, but we wanted to try to put together a tangible. But I don't want to become as Amazon, where in my living room I've got, you know, 7 things packed into 70 boxes. I don't want to do that, but we were going to give it a spin, give it a whirl. So Kim has the list book. I have the wellness book. We were going to put together, you know, we were going to try to put together a package of 7. Well, so the neat thing is, I saw somebody trying to do that this morning. They just started it this morning, and I clicked on it and thought, you know, yeah, this is a good, that encourages me that this is a good idea. Especially for those of us who do have an in-your-hand product that's not always offered digitally. So think of 3 things you might try if there were no holds barred. The sky was the limit. You could do this next plan of your product or your offer any way you wanted to. 3 things you might want to do that are outside the box a little bit. Just go wild with it. We're going to set the timer for a minute, maybe 2. I'll watch to see if you look up at me, then I'll know that you don't need that much time, but I'm going to set the clock for 2 minutes. And let the Lord get you excited about this.
So I think you're breaking up.
Me, I am.
You're saying that you're breaking up. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to hop off.
Okay.
And just listen.
All right.
I'll raise my hand and I'll talk loud. And then
Yeah, because we had internet issues the minute we got here. Had to call company.
I'm not real sure that's the deal because you're coming through really good, Lou, but she's not. And this has been the last couple of weeks. So I think it's her microphone.
And it could be this laptop because the other one, I spilled water on it and we're working through switching things over. Because if you're right, Angela, it's been happening to me for a few weeks. Is it better when I lean in a little more?
And now that I'm off.
And now that she's off, is it better? Well, no, yes, and no. I don't know what to do. Let's see.
It is better to me. I was hearing you better there for a little while.
Well,
I'm just going to take notes and write
Okay.
them. I'll listen to you.
We'll plow forward. Well, you can also sit over here if you want to talk to everybody for a minute. So sorry, we just took up all of our time. Okay.
Yeah. I was wondering, it's like,
Maybe if Karen could talk through your computer and mute hers, but I don't know what to do the recording.
Are you
now.
on the AT&T box? Maybe if I switch
no, that
over,
didn't work.
it didn't work at all.
Mhm. I can get back on. Let me get back on, and then we can turn my laptop around. I'll move over here
I keep
or
moving.
there. Please hold. Sorry. I'm coming in again. Do I get, how many prizes do I get? With like door prizes? Because I've come through the door so many times. I have an hour and a half for this, right? Yeah, 3 to 4:30.
So are you going to move over here?
I'll just move to that chair. I'll turn my laptop around. Is that going to mess you up?
I don't, it's worth a try.
Yeah.
It's just an incentive to get the new laptop set up too, because I think it's this old laptop.
I'm going to find this. Okay. Let's see.
Oh. Is that enough time, even with all of those crazy interruptions? I'm so sorry. Three things you might do differently. It's taking forever to bring you in. Grr.
Here we go.
Is anybody ready?
So,
You want to mute me and not mute you, right? Let's try this. Hold on just a second. Let me mute. Let's try this.
Okay, try to talk now.
Okay, so do y'all hear me through Lou's computer much better now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to stay up all night long.
We're the
and
team.
Get my new laptop put together. Okay, are y'all ready to come in with that? I mean, I kind of got a few ideas from the Lord, I think. What are some things, 1 or 2 or 3 things you might want to do that are kind of outside the box, innovative, different, will make a difference in the growth of your products or offers coming up? What do you think?
I think that part
Okay,
of
so now, Courtney, you're not muted, and I don't hear you. Do you have?
I have this muted. Sorry.
Do you have your laptop muted?
Mm-hmm. I thought
Okay,
you wanted
hold
me
on.
to. Okay, now try. Courtney.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So I was thinking about, there's been all these memes, these silly memes, and all the news and all the different sources and all that stuff. And I was thinking about just doing, I'm going through some grief. And I think there's, I talked about that Chihuahua feeling that's in the atmosphere. And there's also this, I think we're to the point now where it's no longer as much Chihuahua as it is grief. And I think just talking about how it feels in a real candid way in videos and, how I'm dealing with it and just making it real personal is kind of what I was thinking about doing. Just like randomly talk about that and talk about how to handle it and how to deal with it in this Christian, spiritual, practical sort of way. That's, that's what I was thinking about. Because I see people being silly, but I don't see people actually saying things like,
Right.
hey, let's do it this way.
And so just promoting it differently from a different angle. Is that what you mean?
Well, I don't.
Just being honest and vulnerable about
Yeah,
it, is
that's
what
really
you're
what it's
saying.
about, saying, hey, this is where I am. My friends are exhausting me right now with some of their anxiety. And, and just talking about some of that and how I don't have the same level of anxiety they have. And why don't I? And how I'm helping them. And, what kind of anxiety am I having? Or what do I feel? And just talking about that stuff. People feel things, they just don't know what it is. And naming some stuff. I don't think people know how to name the way they feel.
Articulating it.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking about doing. And it is kind of raw, and I'm okay with that. I like I said, had some breakthrough this last couple of weeks, and I'm okay with that.
I think that's a great idea.
Well, thank you.
I really do.
Because we're suspicious of anyone who's sugarcoating this.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone, I get that, but person who's like, yeah, we're fine. I mean, I've been one of those people. This hasn't affected us as strongly as it would have someone else because we were already semi-retired. We were already working from home. We have 25 acres to roam on. We don't feel so sequestered. But what about the people that don't identify with that? They want the truth. And they want permission to be true.
Like people who live in apartment complexes or can't get out, that are homebound, just because the people who help them get out can't come to them anymore. It just, I think there's a lot of dynamic. Yeah. But I mean, I have healthy friends that live very close to me and are on a completely different level of anxiety and anxiousness than I am. And I'm just like, guys, God is there, and so I think it's important to talk about that stuff. That everybody is at a different place, and it's okay if some of your friends are cool about it and some of them are chihuahuas, So that's my idea right now, one of them.
What has astounded me, and I know I'm taking out a turn, but what has astounded me is that I feel like I'm handling it better than I thought I would as an extrovert. But I have friends who are introverts, fully funded. They could lose their jobs tomorrow and be fine. Everything is taken care of. Everything is fine. And they're the ones with the high anxiety. And I'm not sure. I don't know. I think they think I'm being pie in the sky when I say it's okay. Like, I don't know. So I see such a need for that. I can't even do them today. No.
It's a shoe drop mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's my idea. One of them.
Anybody else? I love it. I mean,
I'll go since I was already kind of going, but I'm going to ask more people for help because I haven't really thought about asking people who are already in groups. Do you think your clients would be interested in this, or can I offer help with, your learning that you're doing, or that kind of thing? I can think of 5 groups that are similar to Daniel's situation right now, and I should be asking them, is this something that would be helpful? Because I know for parents in general, not just of special needs students or adults, but parents in general right now are stressed. And what do I do with my kid? I need a break, right? And so me helping them have a break too is part of the ministry, right? So yeah, so I think asking for help and asking if they need my help.
One of our NACRI members got on Zoom with another NACRI member. The NACRI member who doesn't have children got on Zoom with another NACRI member and played Monopoly with her 2 kids so that she could go take a nap. And she said, yeah, they had to move for me, but these 2 kids could have cared less. They were just happy to have somebody else to play, you know, until someone won. You know, it's kind of hard to play Monopoly all the way through. But, you know, there's just, there are so many innovative things. I would have never thought of that it was even possible to do. Anybody else on this one? And then we'll move forward and put something down on. You probably need a blank piece of paper. All right. The 4th secret to marketing, this is C.J. Hayden's first secret to marketing. So is you have to choose a set of simple, effective things to do and do them consistently. And what I love about her program is she has this quiz we're going to go through so that you know absolutely by the way that you answer these questions where you need to start. You don't want to be starting from square 2 when you need to start from square 1 or whatever. You don't want to be spinning your wheels. We've seen this happen to us where we've spun our wheels in wrong directions and ended up frustrated. I'm surprised that some of us stuck with it, but we knew it would work. We saw it work enough that we knew if we did it in a more refined manner, we would be more successful, and we were. So this is a tried and true program. You need a piece of paper and a pencil. And you probably really only need tally marks. So you might write down her words are fill the pipeline. So write down fill the pipeline, and what you want to do as we work through these 5 questions is just tally marks. There's no right or wrong answer. It's different for everybody. So if you answered yes to any of these questions, put a tally mark under fill the pipeline. Are you brand new in business? And no one can define that for you. You need to define this your way. Yeah, I kind of feel brand new, or no, I don't. If you sat down to call every lead you currently have, would you be through before lunch? Have you personally followed up with every prospect on your list within the past 30 days? Are you not contacting the prospects you have because you already know they don't need you or can't afford you? Are you in a business where it's inappropriate to contact prospective clients and you're not receiving enough inquiries? Can we move forward? I need some nodding heads. Or does anybody want us to stop there for a minute? Go forward. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll print these out for you if you don't want to write them down. You're so like me. It's not even Then this one is follow-up. Do you have a drawer full of business cards or a database full of contact information from people you have met but have not been in touch with since? Oops, guess my profile. Have colleagues, I'm going to have to say this. Have colleagues handed you, leads that you haven't gotten around to calling? Are there prospects who said no or didn't return your initial call who you haven't contacted in the past 3 months? I mean, I have a client right now asking me for a contract. And I haven't done it to her. Who's that? I could lose her. What is that about? Do you have a wide network of personal contacts with whom you never talk business?
Yes.
Now it's kind of heart-wrenching. Are there people you haven't been in touch with lately who inquired about your services in the past but weren't quite ready or didn't have the funds? Do we even need to move on further? Are y'all ready to move on with the other questions? We will, most of us, be in these first two categories, let's be honest. We already know who's in everything, but let's do the others anyway. Ready? Head nod. Yep. This one is sales conversation. And that's where I am with this client. We did have a sales conversation. I'll lose it if I don't reach out to her further. Do you follow up with prospective clients consistently, but can't seem to get their attention to discuss their needs and your offerings? Do people refuse to take your call or brush you off quickly when you do get through to them?
My neighbor, oh gosh, she's too much.
Are all your prospects already working with a competitor, or at least that's what they say? Does everyone you contact seem to think what you do is too expensive, will take too much time, or is just not for them? I think I'm missing a question there, but I'll go back and clean it up later. Then let's do this one. Close the sales. I don't think any of us are particularly here, but let's do this really quickly. Are you regularly getting to the sales conversation stage, but don't seem to be closing enough sales? Do your prospects seem to be going through the motions of allowing you to have a sales conversation, but have no serious interest? Are you encountering objection after objection that prevents the sale from going through? Do you often conclude this sales conversation and still don't know where the prospect stands? Okay. Tell me if you are in the fill the pipeline category. At least type in the chat room so I can follow up with you later, but even come in if you want to and just say fill the pipeline, follow through, follow up, sales conversation, close the sale. Let me know where you are.
I'm glad that I've graduated.
3 in pipeline and 3 in follow up.
Yeah, and I've graduated since
None
last.
of the others.
What was it?
I said I've graduated to follow up since last time.
Which means you built a list, more of a list. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, well, we're going to say to Lou, who said she kind of had an equal footing in fill the pipeline and follow through, is she'll think through what her plan is for this leadership push and have to decide which one comes first in the plan and in the marketing design. Fill the pipeline or follow up.
Oh, okay.
It's usually fill the pipeline, but there's no harm in going through the follow-up with people that you already know and then coming back and increasing the pipeline later.
I immediately thought of 3 or 4 people that would be.
And this follow-up group might be a beta test group for your program and your book. So Courtney's in follow-up. I'm so in follow-up. I will probably, I got to get out of there one day, someday. So in 2020, I have to get out. Angela, you're probably fill the pipeline still. Yeah. Kathy, you probably are too, because you just graduated. You're just getting some things up and running. I don't know if Jessica, are you with us? We lost Kara.
Jessica said fill the pipeline.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She said her internet's slow.
So here's where we are. You kind of have a score. It's really, I think it's very eye-opening opportunity. And what you'll know with some certainty is that you're not going to run down some path and have to backtrack or climb over, fallen trees and that sort of thing. You really are going to be on the right course. Okay, so on this piece of paper or another piece of paper, I should have had these printed out for you, but they're in the group. They're already in the group. They've been sitting in there for a long time. And what is in the group is the action worksheet. Kara and Jessica aren't in there. So I'm going to show it. Jessica, since you're chatting in the chat room and you're actually with us, right? I'm going to show it to everybody. Let's stop share that and share. This is what her action worksheet. So you're going to come up with in the group. I can't even scroll. You're going to come up with, it's interesting to me that she asks you what strategy you will use first, because when I put this together, I always come at that angle after I've decided whether I'm filling the pipeline or following it. And I'm in the follow-up category. We're all probably in the fill pipeline and or follow-up category. So first she wants you to choose where you're going to start. I'm obviously in the follow-up. I have a list, a really healthy list. So I'm obviously in the follow-up. Let's answer these questions together, even before you go into what strategies will you use. You don't see it?
Are you trying to share that? It may be that you just had that PowerPoint in share mode, not the Word document.
Then you have to close the power. This is the craziest day, but you know what? It's okay.
We're all friends.
That's right.
We like
No
crazy.
judgment. I'm my own worst. So right now, y'all don't see anything. I'm not sharing anything.
That's what you've got. I'm sharing. This is what they see.
So I did unshare the PowerPoint. That's a step in the right direction.
Yay. Okay.
All right. So I find it interesting that she asked you, but essentially when you come back to what strategies you're going to use, you will be sure you're only going to pick ones that you know you feel comfortable in, and you've really got to work through the first 5 chapters of the book eventually before you are really honed in with a successful marketing plan. But let's answer these questions and finish out this way. On a piece of paper, for nobody to see but you, how much business do you have? So you already know if you're filling the pipeline or following up, how much business do you have now? That can be interpreted any way you want to. Everyone does it so very differently, but just kind of off the cuff, off the top of your heart, what is God laying on your heart? How much business do you have now? And how much business do you really want? Take a minute. Then what CJ Hayden wants you to do is really, I don't know, it's hard for me because I'm such a practical person. I don't allow myself to do this. She really wants you to take this a step further and tell yourself, if I had this, if my business increased this much, and I'm going to say you should probably stretch it a little bit, dream a little bigger, because God is able to do so much more. And because he's already given you everything you need for what he's called you to do. But based on what you've written down about how much business you have and how much business you really want, really, I notice you put that in italicized letters, what would that get you? Set a timer for 1 minute. Let's finish this piece, and then I'm gonna ask you to kind of back up, and without sharing, you don't have to share numbers and things like that, but I want some key words from you, because I want you to hear the stretch from other people and see if the Lord is drawing you in that direction, asking you to take things a step further, because it always encourages me to hear what you have to say. We'll take a minute and talk about, she ought to ask this question first. So actually, you guys, I'll give it to you. It's in the group already. My version of this chart starts with what's your program goal, right? Because really most of these questions are related to, am I promoting the wellness book? Is Courtney going to have really honest and vulnerable conversations with people? Is Kathy going to help special populations with this, with artistic expression, with, thinking outside the box? Is Lou going to do this leadership program? And Angela, how's she going to expand this talents program? It really is, all of this is related to that one plan, not 5 different plans, but one, which is difficult for me. What is your program goal ultimately? We'll take at least a minute on this one, and you guys are going to have to let me know if you need a little bit more time. So your homework is going to be, we'll talk through this, and mine is so rough, right? It's scattered all over the page, actually on another page that happened to be there. But really your homework is going to be refine this program goal statement so that it is exactly what you think the Lord is leading you to do during this next planning, PDF group. Reword it, refine it so that you're totally happy with it. And it's going to take you where you need to go. Everything is going to fall under this. But I wrote down a smattering of stuff about what I want to do to promote wellness and encourage wellness in other people at this time. And it's a mess. It's all over the place. But we'll want to refine that. What's your program goal? What will be your reward if you reach this goal? So let's say in the next 3 months, this goal may be something you work on for the next 3 years, but we're going to work on things in the PDF program in 3-month increments because it's what's been working for us best so far in the last 2.5 years. We've proved it to each other. So let's just say, what would be your reward if you reach some of these goals in the next 3 months? And I don't know about you guys, I have a hard time rewarding myself. What do I want?
Yeah. You want to go somewhere fabulous with Lou.
Yeah,
With a road trip. We're going to come see all of y'all.
Do it.
I like rewards. I'm all about this. I need to have a workshop on rewards.
I want to do a road trip through Ireland and Wales. And I want it to be like 3 weeks long.
Let's do it. I want to see some castles. I've always wanted to spend the night in a lighthouse. Can you spend the night in a castle?
Yeah.
I think so.
We'll do that. Let's have an ACRI conference in Ireland.
Yes.
Okay, let's come in and have a chat. Pray for one another. Please fill in any blanks for me in the chat room because it'll help. I'm going to kind of put some of these together for us. But let's talk about some of these. You don't have to share numbers and how much money and this and that, but share some of the answers to some of these questions. I thought about rewards, for example, and I thought, what I want. I'm very blessed. I have everything that I need for sure. And most of the things that I want, what I will want. And I thought, what I want? I want to see this on the conference. We have these awesome conferences. I really never have a very efficient table. This last time I had a table, but I shared it with Jan, which was fine. But I want to see the fruits of my labor displayed on a conference this year. So I've got how many months? I've got 6 months to make this. That might do it for me because it just hit me. This is what I want. It's not I want $1,000 or I want a trip to Ireland or whatever. That's what I want. So come in and talk to me about some of these last questions, what you've put together and what the Lord has put on your heart. And then we'll pray out and go.
I want to build, I know but I want to build reputation, for being the person that's going to be real and that you can ask the question to and you're going to get a real answer and that you can have real emotions with, and you don't have to be the Christian behind a mask of everything's cool. That's what I want, is that reputation, and I only know one way to build it, so right now. I guess the evidence of that would be people asking questions, people seeking me out. They already do it in my community, but I'd like to expand that community and see it done more online and that way, more globally.
That's good.
Is there a book in there somewhere, Courtney? Because it's what you do.
I got a lot of books. I got like 4 or 5 right now, outlines. So I got them. they're there.
Mhm. It'll be interesting to see if that comes out on the action worksheet somewhere, right? A certain amount of time each week on that topic. You already started
Mhm.
with writing. This is
Mhm.
interesting. I didn't hear you say about the program. I heard you talk about the book. Then I heard you talk about the program. It's so interesting how things begin to come in alignment with what God wants you to do. Anybody else?
I think when I wrote this down, I didn't realize what's possible. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not a money girl. Money is not my thing. It's not my, you know, it should be, it needs to be. So, you know, mine is experiences. And that's a problem because a lot of experiences are just free or you don't get paid for them. And so, you know, kind of putting this on paper just to get the potential. And I only base this based off of when I was doing entrepreneur stuff 2 years ago, what I would charge had I done workshops and mastermind groups and, you know, little 7-day focuses for people to monetize that, where I didn't think I deserved it. I didn't think I earned, you know what I mean? Like before, I didn't think I was worth it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know how valuable it was, right? And now I know how valuable it is, how much they paid for it last time. And I only did a fraction of it. And so now I'm like writing this down. I'm like, well, yeah, I need to do this workshops because companies will pay for that. And they'll pay a lot of money for it. But I also want to do it the way I want to do it and not and I can also take my foot off the gas because I don't have to survive, right? You know what I mean? Like I don't have to make that much money. I can make this much money and have a life and have balance and have, you know what I mean? So anyway, and that was just kind of a very eye-opening experience right there. I say that. This is like if everything is perfect, but you know, the potential, I guess this is the potential, right?
But if we don't ever think potential or beyond what we know, I mean, that's my problem. I say Fred thinks outside the box. That's why he's been so successful in food processing industries. He still thinks outside the box. I kind of don't, unless I'm encouraged to or spurred to, or I purposely sit down and actually shut up and listen to what the Lord has to say. Then I'm like thinking outside the box. But you can see it that the Lord, He does. He downloads all these. We didn't think very many months ago about doing talents right now as Wednesday offerings. Just we did. Then we started thinking about them. But we're slow class. I'm sorry, Angela. You just have to be lumped into my slow class. It took so long to finally get that going. But we had other things going on, and I mean, God's timing is so different than ours. I get that, but it's up. We've got to start thinking beyond. There's a book there.
But I think there's a piece where we don't know how valuable what we have is.
Oh, absolutely.
But you know what I mean? Like
a whole nother seminar.
It's part of it's being woman, part of it's being out there,
a whole program on that.
And not knowing what the market value is, right? We don't go into businesses and say, what do you pay for this? Because everyone's like going, well, I don't know how much I want to charge for it. And then you find out like a year later, you paid double, you paid $125,000 for a program where I was like, I just charged you $40,000. And like, you know, you realize like, oh no, but you don't want to get greedy, but you don't want to be like, but there's no baseline. There's no analysis out there that you can get, you know, that says, how much did you know? And so you just gotta, but I think the thing is play and then push, right? And then play a little more and then push a little more. And then you see, and then you just kind of see what works, what doesn't, you know? Not even money, but just speaking engagement, you know? Have your people walking into a church and say, I've got a program, come with me on a journey, right? Like for Courtney, you know what I mean? Like, well, you know, or Angela, you know, same thing, you know? And it's like, I would never walk into another church and say, I have this program, but a guy would.
True.
So anyway,
What were you saying, Courtney?
I was saying that I think, unfortunately, not understanding your value goes back to not really quite getting your identity in Christ. And I know that that sounds like a real giant leap, but because I've written out this program and kind of worked through it myself, I think that's part of it. And then the other part of it is being able to just ask God, what do you want me to ask for this? And hearing very clearly, this is the price, and taking that time, that space to go, this is what I want you to do. This is the price, and understanding that you can't hear the voice of God answering you in those very specific moments. And I don't think people know how to pray or listen to get those answers. So, there's and you're right, men do it because then that's a whole bigger picture. Like I said, at the last writing retreat I was on in Texas, I wrote a whole program about understanding this value and being able to do what God's called you to do because you get it, because you understand your value.
But you're emboldened, right? You're empowered and emboldened because you feel like God has empowered you with a mission, right? And then you're like, no, you don't understand, right? But when you don't have that empowerment and that emboldenedness, then you don't, and they feel it. And then they lowball you, you know what I mean? They give you like this low number and you're like, well, we've got a budget for that. Okay, well, the Lord decided, and it's just about, and that's hard. I say that so easily right here in this little group. But let me tell you, I'm like little chicken little having a conversation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're all honest.
And truth is, I think you have a very different experience. And I think Fred does too, because you guys have worked in the corporate world presenting these things and working with these people and these giant budgets and these giant corporations, which the atmosphere is a little different, but God is the same in all of those situations.
Absolutely.
So you understanding who you are in Christ gives you that emboldened, encouraged, like, hey, I know where I stand in this, and if you don't want it, that's okay. And you move on. God's going to ultimately provide all the time, no matter what. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
But I would say, like, I went to a theological institute, and talked to them about a program, and I remember, I was going to charge them like $5,000 for it because that's how much I thought it was worth. And the guy was like, charge us what you would charge a big company. Give us a bid. And I was just like, if you were walking to IBM or any company, what would, and I put a number, and he goes, let me talk to some people. And I could not believe it. And he did it. He came down $5,000 from the price. But I thought it was worth this little bit of money, and it was just like, I'm not saying this, it was a company, it's an institute, but there's just, I would say when you have a number or you have an idea, just multiply it and then negotiate from there. But it's hard to do because we don't think we're worth it. We don't think it's that.
Well, and because I'm just getting to the point where I'm not offering someone a discount when they never even asked for it, it's hard for me to go to that next place and multiply. I mean, I've done it, but it's hard for me. But this right here is why I think, and I'm not sure how often we want to work it into the quarterly program, is why I think the guided journaling to hear from the Lord that He taught us to do is going to be absolutely crucial.
I need that so bad. That is the missing.
We have to start there,
link.
and I'm not sure exactly how often, but I mean, I think y'all ask for it when you need it too, and let's take the time. We would have to take time. It's coming.
And it's not just for, our business stuff. I've been stuck a little bit lately with something. I'm like, Lord, I need you to show me what this is because I don't get it. And so I start that same process, and he speaks to me, and I've got, I journal it out. Obviously, I write everything down, but, it's the same thing. Like you said earlier, well, what is that about? Why haven't I sent that woman a pitch or a contract? Well, ask God. Maybe there's a reason, and you need to find out what that's about. And so I just think it's really important for everything that we do has to be centered around that. And prayer doesn't have to be this grueling thing or this rehearsed thing. Although I do think that there is a time to do like these prayers that we know, like the Lord's Prayer and these ones that, praying the Psalms, these ones that have been around forever, liturgical prayer, is really important. But there's also times when we should be a little bit more listening than talking.
So I'm going to counter some of what you said with a really good thing I heard this weekend. I apologize, my internet's kind of a little bit unstable, but I attended a business seminar and some of this stuff. And I think sometimes one of the things that, especially as Christians, that we do is hide behind God. And we have a sense of false humility. Yes, we need to know our identity, and yes, we need to think about the value that we bring to the marketplace because we have it. But I also think sometimes we hide behind false humility and say, well, I'm not valuable enough to charge that, or what I have to bring is not worth that. And we have to, this is the phrase that came up so often, and it's kind of like you've got to weigh your ego with your bank account. What is your ego telling you that about yourself and your product? And if you're devaluing your own product and you're devaluing what is put in you, then you're basically devaluing the creator that gave it to you in the first place. And that is your ego. That is your pride that has actually said, I'm going to be humble, or I'm going to devalue myself because I don't think it's worth it. And that ego is your opponent, and that's the thing that's killing your bank account. That's the thing that is killing you from being successful in the marketplace that he has put you in the avenue that he has put you in. He has given you what it is that you have for the place and the people that you have it for. And when you're in contention with that, you are arguing with the ego inside of you, and that's really false. It's pride. And we disguise it as humility and saying, well, I'm not really valuable, and what I have is not valuable. But that's not who God is, and that's not why he gave it to you. He gave it to you for a specific reason, for a specific purpose, and for an audience. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
So as we close, and
needed
some of
that.
you have heard me say this before, it's whether it's false humility or lack of understanding our identity or accepting it, or fears and, or
Narratives.
everything. I think, how do I say this? I think you're right. We have to look at the brass tacks of things. And so I'll give you an example. I'm nervous saying this out like on a video that might go somewhere, but we were in Shay Vine's group the other day. There was about 11 of us doing a project together. And she said, one woman shared with her, this is my plan, this is the pricing, and this is what I feel like the Lord gave me. And she said, God didn't give you that. And the girl was like, what? And she said, well, it won't even pay for itself. That's not what he would do. He wouldn't give you a project to design and offer to the world, and you can't even make it work in the first place. You can't even budget it. And so let's go back and think again. And I thought, man, we all needed to hear that.
But that leader from that institute did the same thing to me. He said to me, don't charge me what, because he knew how valuable it was. And we have to pray for those people to come into our path too, that are fair, that are good, that are righteous, that understand the value, but also they not only buy your product or service or, work with you, but they build you up. They edify you. And that is God. That is God working with people you're going to work with. Sorry, Courtney, go ahead.
And that false humility that she's talking about, that men ask for things that we don't ask for. There's so much in, and I know this is going to sound so controversial, but there's so much in the patriarchy that causes us to live this way, and it's reinforced oftentimes in Christianity. And we do have to look at it and go, when I say pray and ask God, you have to really hear. You need to learn how to hear, not just, right. Okay, well, this is what I think I'm supposed to say, or this is what a woman would say, or whatever. You've got to be able to really hear what Jesus is saying to you, not what you think he's saying to you. And there's a difference. So, and that's what I want to teach women, because I think that's where freedom comes in. Anyway.
That's true. What a blessing. He never doesn't answer. That's not proper grammar, but you get the point. Well, this was strange. I'm just going to be honest. This was strange and very disjointed for me, but I'm also looking at how many pages of notes I have on on just what we've done today, and I'm very excited to kind of dive back into that because I really feel like there's some breakthroughs here. So I need to hear from you. Text me, email me, Facebook message me, or whatever, what you want the follow-up week to be like. What do you need during that week? And we will make it happen, since I'm sure it'll be probably the same small and intimate group. And then if you have things, you've been through the program before, some of you, you know what you want out of it. I'm open to suggestions as we kind of put it together. The outline of it is there, but it kind of needs to be refined and tweaked based on who's going to be in the group. So let me pray us out, and please let me hear from you here in the chat room or out once we shut this down as well. Jessica, you're asking me for some stuff, and I don't know what it is privately, but we get to talk tomorrow, so I'll fill in the blanks tomorrow if you don't know. Father God, what I knew we needed to put this together. I knew we needed to do it this way. I know it will still evolve, and so we're just praying, Lord, for each one of us, for the group as a whole, and for me as I lead, that you would give us direction every step of the way. Help me to be able to stop thinking about my own thing and what comes next, and really hear what people have to say, to follow the pattern that you've laid before us, but also to follow what each person kind of needs out of the program. I'm anxious to see it evolve, but I want to be a good steward of it. Lord, I'm just praying for everyone here. Kara, who popped in on us for a few minutes, she's on the cusp of some really exciting things, Lord, so we lift her up, especially as she's just become a brand new member of NACWE and has some things really going somewhere. With that, just that she would find her niche in NACWE, and that we would be able to help her along the way. Lord, I lift up Courtney. She has been so instrumental in this, in the P part and the D part of the PDF program, and the book wouldn't have happened without her. So we're praying, Lord, on this new path that she's on as well, for great insight and innovation. I mean, I don't know other people who think out of the box quite like that. So just more of that, Lord, more of the Courtney you created in this design. Lord, we're praying for Angela as she presents the Talents program. This is kind of going to be new and different. We had some new ideas, Lord. We want people to so hunger after opening the box and unboxing their gifts and their talents given to them by you, especially for this time, for such a time as this. And so I'm praying for her that it's fun, that people pop in on it, that the box really intrigues them, or the boxes really intrigue them. Lord, who knew you were going to take Kathy on from building online educational programs also to all of these artistic bents? I had no idea things were heading in that way, and yet people are responding to it. They're drooling over doodling and over artwork, and they love being touched by her that way because of who she is and who you've made her to be. So we're just praying, Lord, that as it all comes together, we know at the end of this, we're going to look back and say, look what happened during sheltering, and this came together with this in this way, who knew? And see your hand in it the whole way. That's the most exciting thing for me. Lord, we've seen you take Lou in and out and back in, and then back in again in a really different way to corporate America, especially with this company and then another company as well. And then we've seen you give her an opportunity to get to rethink all that again, even though we're sure it seems we're very confident. It seems she's headed back into corporate America for a while as well, but in a different way. That might not have happened if all of this wasn't going on. So we're so grateful. We're grateful because selfishly it brought her back into our fold and our community again in a different way. That's been such a blessing to me. Lord, Jessica just yay, celebrate, finish all of her hours for licensed practical counselor internship. I remember those 3,000 hours being somewhat excruciating and seeming to take forever, and she's done. It just is a matter of paperwork. And so we lift her up, Lord. She affects and influences and encourages so many lives in trauma, so many students, so many of their parents, so many of their leadership as well. What a blessing it is to have seen that and to see what you're getting ready to do in her life, in Erin's life, and in her counseling life. To be on the of that is a very exciting and it's an honor. It's a privilege. And so we're looking forward to seeing what happens there, Lord. And we just pray that as she is able to be home some and build out a plan of her own, that you would give her confidence that she's definitely on the right path, all the way on the right path. Lord, these are precious women in my life, my family, and so I just pray a special blessing on them, a great evening, a great night of rest, a peace that passes all understanding, especially where different struggles and trials and conflicts and things and griefs are present. Lord, we need more of you. We need to feel your presence. We will definitely start next week with a guided prayer time to hear from you. Not that we need to get together to do that, I get that, but I think that came through, that we really need that. Help us to be obedient to that next time. Lord, bless everyone in this room and those who might be part of the group later. May all we do, especially as this new plan unfolds, things you've given us, unfold in a way that brings you glory and honor every step of the way. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's holy name. Amen. Right. God bless.
Bye, ladies. Good to see you guys.